What's up, everybody? It's your boys, John and Chris, back again with another episode of the No Name podcast from Card Pantheon. Chris, do you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yes. Deep throat the mic. Oh. Anyway, before we get started, once again, guys, we actually had someone finally enter the timestamp for the first video. We're trying to get a hold of them now. But if you want a chance to win a prize, this time we have a 2001 Megaton up for grabs. Just timestamp down in the comments when you saw this dancing zombie in this video. It's around here somewhere. Somewhere. Boom, boom. Anyway, besides that, Chris, is there anything you want to discuss before we hop into today's topics?
Yes, just one thing. Because I have an hour lunch at work, I have been rediscovering how amazing Breath of the Wild is on the Switch. I've already logged like 35 hours and it's only been like, I think 4 or 5 days since I started again. I'm so excited for number 2 because there goes another 40, 50 hours.
Right? No, dude, easy. That's easily like... So I don't actually play Breath of the Wild too often. Usually I sit back and watch Amanda play and I give like tips and advice on how to like cheesily beat like a freaking giant or something. Like, if you climb up on this mountain, he can't climb up to you, but you can throw bombs at him. It'll take like an hour to kill him, but you'll take like no damage.
That's fair. Those remote bombs are pretty nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw the trailer just the other day with number 2 coming out, and I'm pretty pumped for it, but that's all I got on my front.
That's what's up. I guess 2 things. Well, 3 things. First of all, me and Amanda had our gender reveal. We're having a girl.
Congratulations.
Yep. I have some videos. I obviously won't share it with the general public, but I'll share it with you guys eventually, Chris. Secondly, my in-laws were in town all last week, which is why content came down to a crawl. And then third, my work, my main job, sent me to Fan Expo here in Denver, which is similar to Comic-Con. And we had a little booth set up to advertise for the aquarium. So I was at Comic-Con for 3 days. So I picked up some swag. And also, nice. Chris, I think I might have a problem. I bought a lot of graded comics and some more Dungeons and Dragons stuff. The wife doesn't need to know about that.
Mum's the word.
Yeah. But so throughout this episode, I'll be showing that stuff off. But while we're doing that, Chris, do you want to start us off? So this podcast topics were about hobbies and grinding to potentially make the money, the greenback, the cheddar, the lettuce. Do you subscribe to the idea that your hobby can become a successful source of income?
All right. So I say yes. I think now more than any other time in history up to this point, is it easier than ever to make that a reality? I look at the internet, I look at YouTube, Etsy, and all the other websites that kind of allow this. And I have to, nice.
Yeah. I started getting into DC Comics, so this is like one of the newer runs of Robin as his own hero.
That's pretty cool. I like the yellow, honestly. It really pops.
Yeah. So that came in the mail. But go ahead and continue.
Yeah. So like I was saying, I think now more than any time ever, it's easier to, like, the starting capital for it is a lot cheaper than it has been. When things kind of happen with this COVID and the pandemic, a lot of stuff turned to online. I mean, heck, we're even an example of that as well. Whoa.
Teen Titans. They're so edgy.
They don't look like the cartoon anymore. That's really nice. And they're all graded really highly too, huh?
Yeah. I've been trying to mainly grab like 9.0s and higher. I have a few lower ones. This guy's actually kind of cool. So I overpaid for it a little bit, but let's see if I can get it to come through on the camera. Can you see number 26 there?
Yep.
It's an error print because CGC put it as a 25.
Oh,
So that's just kind of a cool little error print that I picked up.
yeah. It is always funny when you see that. Honestly, even on cards and how ridiculously high they get because of some small error.
Yeah. But yeah. So you were saying, so like where to a certain extent hobby becoming a business.
Yeah, I believe if you're passionate enough and you have that drive, I say go for it. I mean, you don't want to kind of live your life of full of like what ifs, like what if I had done that, or what if things had changed. I say just attempt it, if anything, and then if it doesn't work out, at least you have a definitive answer that it wasn't meant to be. But that's just kind of my take on it. What about you, John?
Um, Hang on one second. Let me switch to face cam. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of, to a certain extent, your hobby can become a source of income. However, I would like to stipulate, I don't think it's for everyone. So like, I feel a lot of people, quote unquote, get into these hobbies because they want to make money. And I don't think that's the right outlook. I think you have to realize you are going to have to put in copious amounts of time just to turn a profit. You know, it's not like, if Konami could make more money by selling singles than selling packs, they would do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so at the end of the day, you usually will spend more money than you make, but there are ways to hedge your bets to where you end up coming out on top. Like that's kind of how we do things at Card Pantheon. Buying in bulk, buying collections, that sort of thing. You're always going to get a better deal doing that than buying just random packs.
That's true. A little bit of calculation going into it, not just free spiriting and thinking that everything's going to work out.
Yeah, exactly. Like eventually when we have all the content up and running and we're actually like being able to make like different types of content, I really want to do box opening videos, and I want to show everybody how risky that is, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, that's my little caveat to it. I think most hobbies have the potential to become a main source of income, but I don't think everyone is made to make those hobbies the main source of income.
Yeah, and again, to double back on my point, just because it's easier doesn't mean it's overall easier. It's easier for the entry point, but not so much the end goal.
So
Whoa.
this is an indie comic. It's called Roz and the Big Man. It basically follows an ex like FBI agent that's now a journalist in the 1950s, and it like talks about Roswell and Bigfoot and a bunch of other things. So it's kind of like a look at cryptozoology. It's really great. The author is from our neck of the woods, Chris, California.
Oh.
So yeah, I picked this up. I might send it in to get graded. I don't know, but highly recommend it. They started out as a Kickstarter.
Oh, that's neat. That's cool to see something come to fruition like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
The cover reminds me of like those old like 1950s like Hardy Boy books, and like, oh gosh, what other brand of that? But it looks really cool. It looks reminiscent and kind of vintage in that sense.
Yeah. So, Chris, this is just called Calico. Judging by the cover, what would you say this is about?
Catman.
So you're not entirely wrong. This is a limited run. It's going to be 8 issues in total. I bought all 8 of them. The other 4 are supposed to be coming to my address when they get printed. But basically, the author has a deal. So he's from Brooklyn. He has a deal with a shelter where part of the proceeds go to the animal shelter. And basically, Calico is a vigilante similar to Batman, where he literally beats the fuck out of anyone who abuses animals.
I can get behind that.
Yeah. No, I was 100% okay with it. I haven't cracked them open yet, but I picked them all up because I mainly wanted to support the cause. But also the art looks like kind of like an older, grittier Batman. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that's a good find, honestly.
yeah, this is all the stuff I picked up for the most part from Comic-Con, by the way.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Yeah. So moving right along though, to our next point. Do you believe that grinding at a hobby every day for several years is what leads to financial success? Or do you think most people would be better off getting a job or going to school? Like, I don't know about you, but like, I always like heard growing up, like, find something you love doing and you'll never work a day in your life. Do you
Mhm.
think that is actually feasible for most people? Or do you think most people that's probably a pipe dream, but for some people it's true?
I also growing up heard that adage that everything is blood, sweat, and tears in everything that you do, and I have to say that I'm kind of on the fence. Like on one part of me, I say just go for it, and another part, it is hard to accept kind of that failure rate. I mean, how many businesses close in the first year? There's a lot of empirical data that kind of sways you away from it. But if you're doing something consistently, like you mentioned in the question, I think that with enough hours and if you can master or have such an experience with whatever you're doing, I think gives you such a predominant edge on certain things that I say, yeah, I fully believe. And I mean, sometimes that ideology and then like expectation reality kind of like coincide and crash into one another, because if like you're super passionate about, like, let's say sock puppets, and there's only like a very niche market for that, then no matter how much effort you put in, you might need to branch out, or you might need to diversify that portfolio in a way where it's a little bit more broader.
Mhm.
And some people kind of live and die by that, by saying, no, I'm only going to do this, or you're not adaptable and you're not willing to kind of make that change. Then yeah, that's when a lot of stuff kind of falls by the wayside. But if you're willing to put in that much effort, you just kind of have to be receptive to what it is that you're providing, whether it's a service or a good, and then just trying to be the best that you can be at that, and then kind of listen to what the feedback. And yeah, I think that's my point. What about yours?
So my point of view on it. So I kind of have mixed feelings about it, but I mainly subscribe. Have you heard of Gary Vaynerchuk?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Um, so his whole thing is like hustle every day, but he never once tells you that, like, if you want something, if you like something enough, you can make it work. He's always like, you can make money off of anything, but you have to hustle every day at it. You can't just be like,
Mm.
oh, I'm really passionate about this. You have to put like the passion to work. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
So more or less, that's what I'm trying to do here. Like with Card Pantheon, I'd really like us to get to a point where, the passion is shown through the amount of work we put in, because he's really against like super big hype men that go up on stage and are like, yeah, man, I wake up every morning to run 500 miles, and then I go lift 5,000 pounds of weight, and then I'm on a fast 30 days of the month. I only eat on the 31st of every month.
Yeah.
It's just not realistic to be that type of person, and most of the people that talk like that don't actually do it.
The Tai Lopez's of like, oh yeah, this,
Exactly.
yeah, totally get it.
Like there are some people, like obviously they had somebody to look towards that was like that, but
Mhm.
those people are so few and far between. Most people fall in the category of they are working a full-time job, they'd be better off using their extra like 5 or 6 hours a day doing stuff like this, like making a podcast for their company, or doing something for a side business.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, hopefully, the dream is that side business becomes your main business, and then your main job becomes like a side job, and then eventually you don't even work that side job.
You can start weaning off of it and then becoming, yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of how I see things. Just kind of take it one step at a time. You don't go all the way in on it,
No, absolutely. I mean, even starting this company, we took measured steps to see, like, whoa, the Winchester Mystery House.
Yeah, so this is another author that was at Comic-Con here. I even got him to autograph it.
Oh, nice.
He's from San Jose, which is, right near us and the Winchester Mystery House.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't cracked this guy open yet, but it's supposed to be like a historical, dramatized, like retelling of how it was built. It was another Kickstarter project, actually.
See, it's all about that grind.
Right? Well, that's why I thought these would be great to show off, because a lot of the comics I picked up were indie comics. So I thought it'd be great to show off for this particular episode, because a lot of people that are just on their grind, every day.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's living proof right there in your hands that if you put in enough effort, and sometimes it is just a pinch of luck or just knowing the right people, but
mm-hmm.
You're never going to get there if you never start.
There was there's a quote. So I swear to God, every episode I quote at least one anime. Kenichi, History's Strongest Disciple. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But in short, it's about a kid that got bullied in school. He tries to protect this one girl from a bunch of thugs, and he gets knocked out, and the girl kicks the thugs' ass because her grandfather is like a martial arts master. So she looked like she was in trouble, but really she was just trying to talk them out of it. Like she didn't want to kick their asses, but then after they knocked out this boy that tried to help her, she had no choice. So she takes him back to where she lives with her grandfather and 5 other masters of martial arts. And the masters and the grandfather are freaked out because they see a boy wake up in her bed. So it results in them saying, like, if you want to sleep with our daughter, you have to be able to defeat us in a battle, essentially. Or if you want to marry, like the grandfather's like, if you want to marry my granddaughter, you have to be able to beat me in battle. And this is like a man that freaking punches a nuclear missile at one point.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah.
So anyway, so Kenichi is basically helpless. Like, he doesn't know how to do anything. He has no martial arts experience, but through hard work, he masters like every form of martial arts. And there's a scene earlier on in the series where Kenichi's like starting to become really good at martial arts, but he hasn't become a master yet, kind of like what we were talking about last episode. And this one guy who's a genius who has never had to work hard a day in his life to learn martial arts picks a fight with him, and he loses like phenomenally to Kenichi. And no one understands why. Like, Kenichi was able to beat this guy that was just like, instantly a black belt, basically. And one of the masters is like monologuing about how Kenichi developed so well, and then like mentions, this is the quote, he's like, in the world of martial arts, hard work will always beat talent, because hard work it makes muscle memory. Talent just means you can do the motions.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like that related a little bit, to like, just put in the hard work. You got to do the hard stuff first.
Exactly. And especially when running a business, it's not always like the glamorous lifestyle. Sometimes there is those harder days where you kind of question, like, why are we doing this? But if you just have that perseverance and you can keep going, then I think, like, at least in my opinion, like 7 out of 10 times it pulls out.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. what are some key points you would like to mention about the hobby grind? Any advice you'd like to give for those just starting out? Maybe some words of caution.
Yeah. So I have a lot of hobbies that, I love music, stop motion, and all this kind of stuff. And looking back on it, I wish I would have asked more questions about people who are already in the profession. I reached out to some of my most favorite stop motion artists, Pez, and a few other smaller names as well. And I just sort of asked them, like, where did you first start? And I actually got a lot of responses, and that was kind of encouraging. Um, I had asked Pez in particular, like, how do you stop being a perfectionist? At what point do you put yourself aside and stop criticizing yourself so hard versus like your final product, and how like there's got to be a middle ground, right?
Mhm.
And he gave me some really sage advice, like do the best that you can with the skill set that you have, and keep going, because you will eventually get better and better. But if you start cannibalizing your own ideas before they even become anything, then yeah. And I was like, that's really, really amazing, because I mean he's won awards and such. And I wish I had asked more questions before going in, because I just had to learn the hard way on a lot of things.
Hmm.
How to do a shortcut or do anything was just my own dumb experience figuring out. I was like, oh, I could have done this 5 hours ago, and I could have cut down, down to 3 hours. But yeah, I think if you're initially going into a hobby, ask people who've been around. And I feel like a lot of people are willing to answer those, and kind of build a community, like find Facebook groups of the same interest, see what works for them and what you could do to be better, honestly.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Wow. You basically hit the nail on the head of what I was going to say. The only other thing I'd like to point out, or I'd like to mention in that, is don't be afraid to fail. Some
Oh, that's a
of
good one. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can't tell you how many times it's happening right now. Like I still haven't gone to like a big Pokemon tournament yet because I don't feel I'm good enough yet.
Hmm.
But like it happened with Yu-Gi-Oh. Like Yu-Gi-Oh, I went in with like a fourth rate deck, and I was a third rate duelist. Um, but now, like, this might sound fucking cocky, and some people might want to try to argue with me, but I feel like I'm in the top like 10 of people in my general region of Colorado now. Over the course of just like the last like 6 or 7 months, and I wouldn't have gotten there if I was still procrastinating. Like, oh, I'm not good enough. I don't want to waste the money. You know,
Mhm.
I've always been a big proponent of having to go against better people in order to get better. Um, you know, Actually, it's kind of funny. People at my work and me get into this argument all the time. I don't want to get into too many details about people's names or companies,
Sure.
but I work in the education department where I work. You know that. And there's always a big debate about like, are these kids the right age for this program, or is it way above their heads? And we don't necessarily offer a program like of similar content, but for lower age ranges all the time. So my argument has always been, who cares if it's designed for like a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old wants to take the course? They're going to learn something from it. That was always my opinion. And like everyone else in my department looks at me like I'm a fucking monster putting like a 6-year-old in a 12-year-old's position. And I'm like, no, the motherfucker will learn how to do it or he'll fail. Like,
Yeah, you get better, and again, especially when you're younger, you absorb things like a sponge.
yeah,
And although you might not be able to use those informations right now, but I mean, it can, between context and everything, people don't give credit to kids often enough, honestly.
yeah. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I constantly, when I was in school, I, constantly was looking for more and more knowledge.
Mhm.
So like I was like a kindergartner reading chapter books because I was just like, oh, I want to read things. If someone had told me no, kindergartners don't read chapter books, they read Henry and Mudge picture books,
Mhm.
like I probably would not be a good reader to this day, or
Yeah.
as good a reader.
And if the kids are passionate about why they're there, then yeah, obviously you're gonna pick up a lot more than what they're assuming you are. But
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, like trial by fire is always like one of the best ways to go about things. So here are some other comics. So these I actually won. I spun a wheel and I won some comics. This is like a female variant of Billy the Kid, like an old Western. It's still in the cellophane. I haven't opened it. And then the Bulletproof Kid is like a spoof on like superheroes in general. And then I don't know what this one's about, but I really love the cover art. Tobacco Stained Mountain Goat. He looks like a business tycoon.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, so many different styles and iterations like that. That's amazing.
And then this was also a free one for just going to the con. Gloomhaven.
Ooh. That's cool. I'm glad that you were able to go. Especially with COVID the way it had been. Like
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to get out and do normal things for once.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah. So, moving right along, Chris, what were some things that made you want to work harder in your hobby? I know you've been like super passionate about stop motion, film, and music for most of your life, but what about it draws you in, and why other hobbies have come and kind of gone?
I think it's the reward at the end. Like when you're going on music, you're learning these songs, you're able to play, and especially when you get a big catalog and you're like, wow, you're amazing. Like that kind of like accomplishment that those hours are finally paying off. Same thing with like stop motion, is being able to say like, oh yeah, I've got a couple videos uploaded on YouTube, and I showed some of my coworkers and like, you did this? I was like, yeah, I actually did. So I think seeing that kind of reaction and knowing that you're kind of going on the right path. And again, during the whole entire process, I'm enjoying every single moment of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thankfully, there's a lot more good than anything else in these hobbies. But yeah, there's times where it's like frustrating and it's nail biting, and did I back up that file, and the panic, and it's a roller coaster of emotions. But for me, the things that stick with me is that I've always been passionate. I've always watched other people do it, and kind of like you, at a certain point is like, well, if they can do it, I want to do it. And when I finally found something that clicked, it's been a lifelong passion. And yeah, I think that's kind of sums it up. But how about you? I know card games and 1,000 different hobbies that we talked about last episode, but why is the core main set still a thing for you?
Yeah. For me, it's a lot of brain work. So I swear to God, if I ever went to a doctor, I'd probably be diagnosed with ADHD by today's standards. But I've always been the kid that was like, didn't necessarily think differently, but wanted to use my brain. It was like, oh, chess. Chess is a good example. My dad used to play chess with me every day. And once again, he would kick my ass every single day. My parents did not go easy on me. I still remember the day I finally beat my dad. Like, I thought he let me win. I got really pissed at him. Isn't
that an anime moment right there?
Yeah, I won, and I swear I saw the move my dad could have made that would have basically fucked me, but instead he made the opposite move, and he swears to this day that he did not throw the game. But I got so fucking pissed because like I won, and then I was like, "You fucking!" I didn't say fuck because I didn't cuss my parents at the time, but I was like, "You threw the game. You didn't play the right move." You
freaking frick.
Yeah, pretty much. And my dad's like, "No, dude, I swear, like, I tried my best. Like, you won." So like chess was always a big one for me. I have well, not anymore since they burned it in a fire, but I had multiple chess trophies from various like tournaments and stuff like that. So my brain always was in I want to learn more mode and also competition mode. Like, I don't know, I've always been a competitive dude. Like, you knew this about me, that my desire to always be right. I'd get into an argument with anyone over anything. Like,
Yeah.
it's gone much better over the years. It's still there, but it's gotten a little bit better at the very least.
Manageable.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's why I think I keep going back to those hobbies. And then like I think like the reason I go so hard into things is because of that same reason. I'm like, if I'm doing something, I'm going to be the best at it.
Yeah, no, and there's like a drive inside, and yeah, you want to be masterful at what you're doing, and I mean, for you, it's like that constant need to learn and to adapt and do all that stuff. For me, it's always doing something with my hands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, playing music, doing stop motion. It's very, you know, hands-on rather. And yeah, no, I mean, hobbies give you such a free reign of all this kind of stuff, and it's exciting.
Mm-hmm. I play Pokemon. Like the theme song says it all. I want to be the best, like no one ever was. Like,
Oh yeah, insert guitar.
yep. I think that's part of the reason I don't tend to go towards like music or film, because I know if I tried to go into one of those hobbies, number one, there are a shit ton of amazing people. But also like my brain doesn't work in the same way like yours does. Like you can look at like melodies and stuff and be like, oh, if I string these three different sounds together, they sound beautiful. I need more concrete things. So like Yu-Gi-Oh is perfect. I just go, okay, if I go A, B, C, D, E, the only thing that beats me is F. So if I have something that beats F being G, I can just win the game. It's guaranteed.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's interesting to see it like that. Very like analytical, very like domineering, versus like music where it's free form. It can be whatever you want it to be, and it's a lot harder to put that in a box.
Mm-hmm. I really blame anime for the reason I am for a lot of things. You know how like in a lot of shonen anime, after the main character goes on his training arc or something, he like steps into a room and everyone feels the pressure of his new presence like pushed down on them. That's how like like in my brain, if I could, like I would try to exert that type of pressure on everybody in my vicinity and just essentially make them bow. Like
the pressure puts them all on their knees, like, oh
yeah. And like that's how like if I had an anime power, that'd be what I want, the ability to like make everyone bow. Like like you were saying domineering, and it's fucking true. Like
you're gonna submit.
Yeah, like really blame anime for that, because like every main character has that ability.
Yeah, or they're like shocked in fear by how like the progress that they've made since season 1 or what have you.
It's or like let's take Naruto. His power up is when the Kyuubi comes out. Everyone's fucking terrified of that shit.
Yep.
Everyone's just like, oh, that's a red demon fox that's like 10 stories tall. Here, let me just leave you alone, my dude.
Yeah. I got nothing for this. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my domineering. Before we move on, so have I shown you these dragon magazines?
You have not. Whoa.
Okay, so these are like super old. Like I think they started in like the 80s or 70s, somewhere in that ballpark, and they ran until like the late 90s. But they are like basically magazines about Dungeons and Dragons. So they have a bunch of cool stuff. They have like some advertisements for buying miniatures and stuff, but then they also have like actual campaigns that you can run and like character statistics and stuff. They're super old. So here's a stack of them. This is what I was saying. I need help, Chris.
Hobby.
Yeah, how many are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
It's never enough. It's never enough.
Nope, never enough. I have 3 more coming in the mail. They might have come today. I haven't checked yet. Chris, I have a daughter on the way. I can't be doing this.
This is for you. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that. Last question that I had for you, Chris. Are there any hobbies you wanted to get into but haven't, either because of time constraints or you being too fearful to do it or money?
Oh God, there's too many to list.
Pick one then. If money, time, and fear all went away and you could do one hobby, what would it be that you're not already currently doing?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was a lot of fads that came and went. Like I always loved playing video games. I thought, oh, being on Twitch and doing all the streaming stuff seemed really cool. And then it's like, it's a lot of effort. A lot of the games that you play are multiplayer, and it's frustrating when there's like 8,000 different people who play just as much as you have. And it's like, do I really want to go through that aggravation? Or do I just want to play Breath of the Wild and just have a solo adventure and go at my own pace? So that's something. Again, I love competition, but to do that day in and day out would have been too much. I think the burnout would have been for real.
For sure.
What about you?
So a hobby I've always wanted to do but I've never gotten into is like robotics, like building like a battle bot or something. When I was a kid, I used to watch BattleBots. Did you ever watch that?
Heck yeah.
Like on Spike TV or something like that. It was like a late
G4
night.
at one point, yeah.
Yeah. So I always thought something like that would be just like chef's kiss. But the school we went to didn't have a robotics program or anything. So
oh no.
Didn't learn it in school, and my parents weren't going to fork out, hundreds of dollars for me to like learn how to solder a freaking circuit board.
Yeah, you want to put a flamethrower on what?
Yeah, exactly. You want to use my chainsaw for what? So I never actually got into it, and now I'm an adult and have responsibilities. So yeah, if money and time and everything just drifted away, robotics would be amazing. Even if I made something simple as an arm wrestling robot arm that I could like arm wrestle against.
That would be kind of neat.
Yeah. Anytime you need to feel like that manly urge, you just like go up to the robot, set it to easy, and beat it.
Yeah, just the one and just
yeah, exactly. Don't go to 10, it'll snap you in half. Why do I have this function? I don't know, but
yeah, no, robotics would have been a cool one as well, because especially now with all the advancements and everything. Man, I saw some off YouTube, and now they have like drones and stuff that compete. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat.
It's like I don't know, the whole computer and AI like craze is amazing to me. I for one am 100% ready for our robot overlords to take over.
You'll be the first one to go.
Oh man. I swear to God, my jaw's always hurt after I'm done with these podcasts with you.
Yeah, they're a blast, honestly.
Okay. One last thing we gotta talk about, the nerd of the week, Chris. Our boy Dom, he's all about family. It's freaking Vin Diesel. So Vin Diesel has been on record saying that he's played Dungeons and Dragons like nonstop when he was younger, to the point where he still plays to this day. He's been on multiple YouTube channels, and I just love the fact that this big muscle-bound meathead is like totally into D&D. What do you think about him?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I love a lot of the movies he's in. I mean, Fast and Furious up to like the third one. But Chronicles of Riddick and Pitch Black were some of my favorite movies growing up, because I thought it was such a cool concept. And the fact that he had goggles and like a freaking knife. It was pretty amazing. But I also saw some of the funnier side of him, especially when he was singing at a wedding and just seeing kind of like that openness is like,
Mhm.
huh. I mean, again, it's easy to stereotype, but the fact that like again, certain people just falling in love with the idea of Dungeons and Dragons and other nerdy things, it's freaking amazing, man. Like honestly, it's something that we can all bond over.
Mhm. No, definitely, it's amazing. I love the fact also that it's no longer like people down in their mom's basements doing these nerdy things. It's just everybody is doing nerdy things now.
Oh yeah, it's it sucks that like nerd was like a derogatory term into like the early 2000s, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, they have some really cool stuff. I think Marvel really kicked it off with the Iron Man movies,
Oh
and now all of a
yeah,
sudden like, oh yeah, I pride myself in being a nerd. It's like, well, where were you back in the 90s when you were
yeah,
making fun of me?
yeah. Well, that's exactly it. Like, I was actually thinking about this. Me and you were fortunate. We grew up in the area we did because, like, there were bullies, but not like you see on TV. You know,
Oh
like
yeah.
I mean, other than me being an asshole and stealing your basketball every day, I'd say I'm the
Bully.
bit. Yeah, I don't know. Would you say I was one of your bigger bullies in school?
And even then it doesn't seem like the right term. Like it wasn't persistent. I knew you were doing it on purpose,
Yeah, like
but
I don't
yeah,
know.
we were fortunate though.
Yeah, like I feel like almost all of our friend group would have been thrown into lockers and stuff had we gone to like a I'm going to say proper like school. You know,
A bigger school with yeah.
yeah. Like if we would have gone to Sonoma County schools instead of Lake County schools, you know.
Yeah, I think our graduating class was like 80 people.
It was 110 people in our graduating class,
Oh,
actually.
yeah,
Um,
see?
yeah, but still super small. Like I tell some people that, and they're like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, there's like a total of maybe like 500 people in our whole high school."
Yeah.
Like,
It's wild to think because yeah, some people are like, oh yeah, we had 2,000. I was like, what?
oh yeah, dude, like it's freaking crazy. But yeah, so I really think it's cool that mainstream celebrities now are like coming out as like nerds, so to speak.
Yeah, no, and it's again inclusivity and it's nice because now we can really explore like, even the weird side of nerd culture.
Yep. Yeah. No, really. Um, well, Chris, I think we've eaten up enough of their time. And we want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts here at Card Pantheon for coming and listening to us talk. And don't forget, go to cardpantheon.com for all of your TCG needs. We are going to start selling comics and stuff like that eventually. We're just working on building up our inventory. Please don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Also, comment where you see the dancing zombie. He probably popped up somewhere around here. Ah. um, but that being said, thank you all. Have a wonderful evening and peace out.